Hey guys, it's Vinny.
And this is Joe.
Sorry to tell you this, Dragon Ball fans, but Fusion just got a lot more complicated. In this last episode, we finally got some information that many Dragon Ball fans have been waiting for. What is the power increases with Fusion? Because up until this point, there have been complete guesses. And as Joe and I stated before on a previous episode, nowhere in the anime or the manga has there ever been any information that has really concretely given any idea of what the power level increase of Fusion is. And now, after the latest episode, we've finally gotten the most clear quote ever, and it's not even that clear, okay? We're going to talk about it, but it's like we've been waiting forever for some clarity on this, and the quote that we got is so hard to understand, and anyone who says that they completely understand it really doesn't. But we're going to look at it, we're going to examine it, show you what you got, what it is, and sort of the impacts of it depending on which way you take it, okay? First of all, the person that gives us the information is Vados, and Vados lets us know this. She says, the new body and personality born from a Potara fusion are more than the sum of their parts, and their power increases tens of times. That is difficult to understand, okay? Now, there could be some issues here. It could be a translation issue. Yep. Maybe it wasn't translated perfectly. It was made confusing on purpose. Yep. But it's not really as easy to understand as you would think.
It's a very loaded statement here because, I mean, you can try to take this multiple ways. I mean, when I first heard it and I took it, I was thinking, okay, they're more than the sum of their parts, so you're adding them together. And then they're tens of times stronger. So you're multiplying it by over 10. So I'm like, how strong is this? Because before we were talking about that we were going to add their two parts together and then multiply it by 2.
Yes.
Now they're multiplying it by tens of times. Yeah. And if this is correct and this is the statement that we are going with, it can be crazy what we're talking about here, and that's why it's sort of like confusing to us. Are they really saying this? Could this be a translation issue at all? Maybe going a little bit beyond what it should be. It's sort of like scary, like strong if you really think about this.
Now, a good example here would be, a lot of people don't like numbers, but I don't really care. So, say you have Kale at a 10, and you have Caulifla at a 10. According to this statement, their power would be more than the sum of their parts. So the sum of 10 and 10 would be 20, but it's more than that. So let's give it 30, okay? Because it's not going to be double the sum. It's just more than the sum. So we'll say 30. But then it's tens of times stronger. It increases tens of times. So 30 times 10 is 300, but she doesn't say 10 times. She says tens of times. So let's give 20 on that. That's going to be 600?
Yeah.
That's 600. So they started both at 10 and 10. And now the fused person, Kefla, would be 600 based off of that simple math. That seems like too much because in the past there's been an argument, well, is it just 10 plus 10 and that's 20? Nah, that seems a little too small, for the fused person. Is it 10 times 10? 100, that seems a little too much. And that's how many people have come up with, well, it's 10 plus 10 times 2, which would be 40. In this case, according to this quote, if you take it as the fused person is more than the sum of their parts, more than that, 10 times or tens of times of that, you're talking about 600 from a starting value of 10. That seems like a crazy number.
Yeah.
It seems like too much. Now, that's if you take the statement as a statement that flows from itself. It might not even be that. The angel might be actually just talking about the final form here in the sense of this. The final form, the fused form, is stronger than the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
And also, the final form is tens of times stronger.
Than normal, yeah.
Which would make it difficult again. So now, so if they were 10 times, then it would be tens of times stronger. It's hard to say really what's going on here. So is the statement supposed to be taken as one consistent flowing thing? add them up more than the sum of their parts, then multiply by tens of times? Or is it the final form itself is both of those things, which would be a little different in its final value? Unfortunately for us, it keeps it still muddied, but it's enough information for people to probably throw out many videos.
yeah, new theories on how strong fusion is. Definitely, we can't go with the old idea of multiplying it by 2 because she totally threw that out of the water.
Here's what's worse. If you take it as the sum of the parts then tens of times, just think about Goku God Form Blue and Vegeta God Form Blue fused together, which has already happened. But if you look at that, that means that you would have to add the two power forms together more than the sum of their parts, then multiply that tens of times.
It should be ridiculous.
That is an insane. Imagine Goku as Super Saiyan God Form Blue, tens of times stronger than his max form. That's crazy. I mean, never mind him added together with Vegeta tens of times.
I mean, is that what Instinct does? I mean, I wonder if Ultra Instinct makes it tens of times
stronger.
Well,
I would Ultra Instinct would, it's a completely different thing. But if you take this fusion explanation at word for word.
Yeah.
So here's the problem: is it a word for word statement, or is it just the final form is more than the sum of the parts, and the final form is tens of times stronger, which is not a word for word. It's a little different, still confusing. Or is there some sort of translation issue here? So I hate to muddy the water for you guys here, but it's true. The power is actually become more confusing. Based off of this single statement, it's become more confusing because you can have people interpret this so many different ways. Now, it does clear up a few things. We know that the final person now is more than the sum of the parts.
Correct.
That's true. And we know that the final person now is more than tens of times stronger than the individual person. Minimally, we know that at this point.
Correct.
So it does give us some insight into how powerful the person would be.
Yeah, because we were totally in the dark before. I mean, not anything was ever said about this. At least we get something like they're getting a lot more stronger than just adding the two powers together.
And then that brings us to the final point. Is what is this fight going to look like now between Fused Kale and Caulifla against Goku, possible Super Saiyan Blue? He's going to go into blue form. Is what's going to happen with this? But guess what, guys? That's another video, so you're going to have to wait for that one. Guys, this is such a crazy issue, this fusion thing, so please tell us, what are your thoughts on this? Can you put some math below in the comments and tell us, do you agree with what we're saying here? Is this statement, are you taking it word for word on this, or do you see it and interpret it a different way? Please leave us your comments below. We want to see what you guys are thinking, because the more people that let us know, it's when Dragon Ball fans all share their own thoughts, you can kind of get to some clarity here. So please let us know below your comments, like and subscribe. If you like what we're sharing, please go ahead and like. If you haven't hit that like button until now because you're just like, yeah, it's coming up on my feed, go ahead and like the videos. It definitely keeps Joe and I going, and we want to offer more and more content to you guys and better stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is Vinny.
And this is Joe.
Until next time, guys.